This is the story of Joseph, an extraordinary story of dreams, betrayal, redemption, and forgiveness. It begins in the land of Canaan, a place of rolling hills and endless horizons, where Joseph, the second youngest of 12 brothers and the son of Jacob, received a special gift, a richly ornamented robe. But this wasn't just any robe. It was a symbol of love from his father, Jacob, and it set him apart from his brothers. Unsurprisingly, Joseph became the target of jealousy among his siblings. They couldn't help but resent the favoritism shown to him. To make matters worse, Joseph began sharing dreams he had, vivid, glorious dreams that foretold his future greatness. One night, Joseph dreamed that he and his brothers were binding sheaves of grain in a field. Suddenly, his sheaf rose upright while their sheaves gathered around and bowed down. Another dream featured the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowing down to him. When he told these dreams to his brothers and even his father, they mocked him. "Do you think you will rule over us?" they sneered. But these dreams planted seeds of a destiny Joseph himself couldn't fully grasp. Or perhaps he could, and that made his brothers' jealousy boil over into hatred. Then the unthinkable happened. One day, Joseph's father sent him to check on his brothers, who were tending sheep in a faraway field. When his brothers saw him approaching in his colorful robe, jealousy overtook them. They plotted against him. "Here comes the dreamer," they muttered. "Let's kill him and throw him into a cistern. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams." But Reuben, the eldest, intervened. He convinced them not to shed blood, but to throw Joseph into an empty cistern instead. Secretly, he planned to rescue Joseph later. However, as they sat to eat, a caravan of Ishmaelites approached, heading to Egypt. Judah, another brother, saw an opportunity. "What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover his blood?" "Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites," he suggested. The brothers agreed. And just like that, Joseph's life took an unimaginable turn. Stripped of his robe, he was sold into slavery for 20 shekels of silver, and the brothers dipped his robe in goat's blood to deceive their father Jacob into believing a wild animal had devoured him. Jacob mourned deeply for his beloved son. Joseph was now in Egypt, far from the land he grew up in, far from his father's love, and burdened by the weight of betrayal. Yet his journey was only beginning. Sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, Joseph's life in Egypt could have been one of despair. But Joseph had something that couldn't be taken from him: faith in God. Despite his circumstances, he worked diligently, earning Potiphar's trust. Soon he became the overseer of Potiphar's entire household. But Joseph's trials were not over. Potiphar's wife, noticing Joseph's good looks and integrity, attempted to seduce him repeatedly. Joseph resisted her advances, saying, "How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" Outraged by his refusal, she falsely accused him of assault. Her lies landed Joseph in prison. In prison, where hope might seem absent, Joseph again found favor. God was with him, blessing everything he touched. Soon he assumed responsibility for the prisoners. And it was here, amidst the darkness of incarceration, that Joseph's gift of interpreting dreams surfaced. 2 of Pharaoh's officials, the cupbearer and the baker, were imprisoned with Joseph. Each had troubling dreams, and Joseph, through God's wisdom, interpreted them. The cupbearer's dream foretold his restoration to Pharaoh's service, while the baker's dream predicted his execution. Both came true. Joseph asked the cupbearer to remember him and plead his case to Pharaoh. But 2 years passed before the cupbearer recalled Joseph's gift. Then Pharaoh himself was troubled by dreams. Dreams of 7 thin cows swallowing 7 fat cows and 7 withered ears of grain consuming 7 healthy ones. No one could explain their meaning. It was then the cupbearer finally spoke of Joseph, and Pharaoh summoned him. Standing before the most powerful man in Egypt, Joseph declared, "I cannot interpret dreams, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." The dreams, Joseph explained, foretold 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of severe famine. He urged Pharaoh to prepare during the years of plenty. Impressed not just by Joseph's wisdom, but also by his unwavering trust in God, Pharaoh placed Joseph in charge of all Egypt, second only to himself. From slave to prisoner to ruler, Joseph's journey seemed like a dream itself. Under Joseph's leadership, Egypt prepared for the famine during the years of abundance. When famine struck, it wasn't just Egypt that suffered. The neighboring lands, including Canaan, were impacted. Joseph's brothers traveled to Egypt seeking food, unaware that the powerful man they stood before was the brother they had betrayed. Joseph recognized them, but they didn't recognize him. Joseph tested his brothers to see if they had truly changed. He accused them of being spies and demanded they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, to prove their honesty. When they returned with Benjamin, Joseph orchestrated one final test, placing his silver cup in Benjamin's sack and accusing him of theft. Judah, showing transformation and deep love for his father Jacob, offered himself as a slave in Benjamin's place. Seeing their repentance and changed hearts, Joseph could no longer contain his emotions. He revealed his identity, saying, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery. Do not be distressed or angry with yourselves for selling me here. It was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." Joseph's brothers were astonished and terrified, but Joseph reassured them. His entire journey, from the pit to the palace, was part of God's divine plan. He forgave his brothers and invited his entire family to live in Egypt, ensuring their survival during the famine. The story of Joseph is a story of resilience, faith, and forgiveness. He endured trials that could have made him bitter, yet he chose to trust God fully. Even in betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment, Joseph believed in a greater plan. His journey teaches us that even in our darkest moments, God is at work, weaving our pain and struggles into a tapestry of good. The question this story leaves us with is, how do we handle betrayal and adversity? Can we, like Joseph, rise above, forgive, and trust in God's plan? Perhaps this story isn't just Joseph's. It's ours too. A reminder that God's grace sustains us and His plan for our lives is far greater than we can imagine. Can you trust Him even when life doesn't make sense? If Joseph could, so can we. Ensure the expanded voiceover is even more entertaining, but that it maintains the same style, tone, and key points as the original.